It always feels a bit pressured then. Something's happening. All right, so I thought how I'd do it this time. I think most of you here on the last session anyway. Yeah, so if you have got an area where you can try these exercises out, because although I'm going to be quite specific in certain problems, generally it all comes down to kind of strengthening certain joints, which is going to be handy for any runner. So I know, I can't remember who asked now, but someone was saying, is this injury prevention or, you know, injury because you're injured? But really it's both. So if you all did general strengthening work, which I'm going to show you anyway, and what I bang on about most of the time, it will stop you becoming injured. And when you are injured, there's some general exercises that you can do that will kind of rebalance things and help things that obviously help the injury at the time. Some of those are a little bit more specific, but what we'll cover today, we'll look at specific injury problems and then general strengthening things. So like Martin, with your, say, having a weakness in the knee, general strengthening is going to really help that. Although you might have flare-ups, if you can get on top of the general kind of getting the knee and hip strong, you're less likely to get the flare-ups. So it's kind of what I would say, I would prescribe you if you came into my clinic with that injury, but also I would advise you to just do those generally as well. So all runners, even if you haven't been injured, should or don't get injured, should do some kind of strengthening work. And it doesn't have to be, we're not talking going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. This is really just about activating muscles and ensuring that the right muscle balance is working, so that when you run, you have that all in functional balance, if that makes sense.
Mel, so, just to let you know, I've muted everybody, but if they want to speak, they need to unmute themselves. So anyone who needs to say anything, please unmute yourself. It just means that you don't get, I think Nettie's got a lot of TV background at the moment, so that's why I've made sure
this is your fault, Nettie.
You can unmute yourself, okay? Bye.
Or wave madly at me at the camera, and you know. So please don't. I hate just talking to myself. So do just unmute yourself and just generally throw questions at me as we go. You don't have to just have asked a question in advance. It would work better if if you have a question you ask me. So do interrupt me and ask questions as we go. So with what I've already had in advance for questions, that's kind of the areas that I'm going to cover, and then any extra time we'll go through some general strength stuff, or ask me a specific problem that you've got at the moment and we'll go through that. So the first thing I wanted to cover, because I had a couple of people talking about ankles. Who is it that's injured their ankle at the moment anyway? Yeah, there was somebody else as well. Somebody asked me about ankle stuff. All right,
I mentioned Dylan's heels, but it's not really his ankle.
No, that's it, Sarah. That was with the heels. So I think I did cover this a little bit last time. But first of all, with ankles, you're injured at the moment. What actually happened? Do you have a swollen ankle? Have you got an acute injury? Can you run on it?
Is that me?
Yeah.
No. Well, I can run like a kilometre, and then after that it starts to hurt and I just stop and have to go back.
So did you go over on it?
No, I just suddenly, like one Saturday it felt fine, then I went out for my run on a Sunday, like midway through it started really hurting, so I had to come back, and it was just like sudden. I don't know where it came from.
All right, so it's not a particular injury, but it's stopping you running, and it's flared up recently, but you're not 100% sure why.
No.
Because if you do go, because it's obviously, you know, if you run off road, it's common to go over on your ankle, and if you do go over on anything, or you do have an acute injury, obviously the first thing we will talk about is, you know, icing it, price it. With ice, frozen peas don't get it cold enough. You really do have to have crushed ice to get it down to the correct temperature to really make an effect on the tissues. Also, it's a bit controversial whether ice is a good thing to do anyway, because although it makes you feel a bit better and you can move, which is useful, it can interfere with the inflammation process, which is part of the healing process. So I would advise you, unless you're in agony, it's going to help, but if you can avoid ice, it will help you heal quicker. So that's why you often see it in like professional football pitches or whatever, because they want people back on the pitch as soon as possible. But in long-term injury prevention, if you don't ice it, you are going to heal quicker. Which is why those of you that do see me in the clinic, after the first couple of days, I always advise heat anyway. Even if you do have a little bit of inflammation there, putting heat on an area that is problematic is going to help the healing process more. Obviously in this weather you don't want to stick a hot water bottle on something because it's horrible anyway, isn't it? So ice might feel quite nice, and it will make you immediately feel better, but just bear in mind that long term it might interfere with things. So that's just a word on general acute stuff. But even if you do something that you've injured, or your ankle is really, really playing up and could be swollen, even if you can't run on it, you really must keep it moving. So what I'm just going to show you now is some general ankle mobility things, and remind you, those of you who were there last week for this is something that, again, I would advise you generally to do, because we use our ankles need to be stable with all the kind of running that we do. So ankle stability is really important for us. We do tend to get cushioned with the clunky shoes we wear, and our ankles do become weak. And then if you suddenly do decide to do a little bit of off-road running, or the terrain's a little bit muddy or slippery, it's really common to get then an injury in your ankle because your ankles aren't strong. So strengthening ankles in runners is really key. So I'll show you some general ankle mobility things. Sarah will also just go through general heel pain thing, probably more on a plantar fascia way. I would go that with growth spurts, with heel pain tends to be linked into like Achilles or plantar fascia. So we'll just go through.
Diagnosed, it's not severs because it's a little bit higher up the ankle, too high up the ankle.
Is it right on the? Is it right on the side, kind of sticking out towards the trainer? Is that where the pain would be?
No heel spur or anything. It's all. You saw somebody a couple of years ago, Sarah Neat over at the Hat Clinic, because they sent an email out saying they had this child injury specialist. So I thought, well, I'll go with that. And she gave it a name. I can't remember it. It's quite a big name. But basically, it's the bones and the ligaments are working against each other.
Yeah, Ward-Nicholls is
grown so much over the last 2 years. He nearly looks me in the eye now. And
yeah. Does he get in his knees as well? Because Ward-Nicholls tends to affect the knee, so your muscles are growing at a.
He commented on his knees this week, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, your tibial tuberosity tends to kind of, particularly if you do a lot of sport, when you're growing quite quickly, that's when you see this imbalance between the muscle and the growth of the bone, and it can kind of pull on attachments of the muscles and cause the pain in that area. But although it's not plantar fasciitis and not Achilles problems, it would still be helped by dealing with it in that kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, that's more or less what she said as well. And he did get given exercises, but to be honest, I can't find the sheet now. and of course, he's 13, and trying to get him to stick with it. And I was hoping that he'd get over here in time to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But
well, we'll keep it basic anyway, because we'll put it into the general ankle mobility and strength that we'd all want to be doing for running, but it will help for that. So me and my camera angle, I've been whinging about that, so I'm going to try and get it so you can see my feet, which means I won't be able to see any of you, so please shout if you've got a question, all right? But if you want to stand up and get yourself a space, I will just see, you can see the floor there, can't I? And if you have, I said this to you before, actually, when you all looked at me going, what is she on about? So I've brought it with me. If you have like a tea towel or a gym towel, this is what you want to put down in front of you. Let's move that way a little bit. Okay, so it's not that big. That's how big my towel is. Now, this is for general ankle strength. Now, if you've injured your ankle so you can't do this, what I would advise you to do is just go up into a heel raise, hold the heel raise, and slowly come back down again. So if you have an acute ankle problem, so I'm not quite sure how sore yours is at the moment, Kurt, but if you need to come up, hold it. Isometric exercises, so when you hold an exercise, are the first port of call in strengthening a muscle, all right? But if you're able to do that, this is your go-to exercise. So if I stand up, I'm going to stand on the edge of my towel. Are you all having a go at this, or it's just me? Oh, look at you, you're rubbish. Come on, you runners. You should be up and moving about. All right, so you're on the edge of the towel, and what you're going to do is go up onto your toes, walk forward on the towel. When you get to into the end of the towel, come up onto your heel and come back on your heel. Then turn the balls of your feet. Let me take that down a little bit more. Then turn the balls of your feet in and walk up the towel. Then turn the balls of your feet out and walk down the towel. So you've got this movement happening with the ankles. So if I do that again, all right? So up on your toes and walk forward to the edge, down up onto your heel, move back, balls of your feet facing each other. So you're right on the side. That might be uncomfortable or difficult. And then kind of knock knees, balls of the feet facing away from each other to come back down again. Does that make sense? They're my towel exercises that I often throw at people. They are, I would say, gold star. Sally's cracking up there. What? This is a wet tea towel as well. I realise I've just used it. Never mind. They're absolutely brilliant for strengthening ankle stuff. So all of you get on that. And another thing for the ankles, just generally, is do walk around the house with no shoes on. So try and get the proprioception back into your ankle, because with all the shoes that we wear and going running in these solid shoes, we really do take our proprioception out of our ankle. So it becomes a lot easier to go over and damage it. So walking around the house in bare feet, and that goes when you have, Sarah, with like any kind of like pain in the fascia or the Achilles, that really helps because it puts the movement through there as well. So walking around bare feet is definitely a good thing. My husband keeps coming in the garage and sticking his tongue out at me, and it's really annoying me.
I'm suffering with a bit of plantar, actually, now you come to mention it, especially in the mornings. It's not stopping me running, because once I've been moving around a bit, but I'm barefoot. I've been barefoot all day today.
Yeah, because putting shoes on will make you feel better, but it's one of those things that, again, being barefoot is going to help it improve and then not come back. So there's been a change of thought generally in the physio world for plantar fasciitis. But going on plantar fasciitis, tennis ball or golf ball is your friend. I think I've been through this with you last time. So with that, you could stick the golf ball in the fridge. I know some people have spoken to me about how they've put frozen water bottles in the fridge and use that instead of a ball. So you don't have to have a ball, but it's just easy to like stick it under the desk or something if you work and have the ball. Oh, is that who's showing that? Haley. Yeah, or a little roller like that. Yeah, that will do the job. But you don't have to go and buy anything expensive. There's always something you can find. And literally all you want to do is stick it into the fascia. So the first, take your sock off and see what I'm up to. So the fascia is all this bit underneath your foot. It supports the arch. So you're just going to go onto the ball and just roll. You'll find the bits that hurt. And just like a foam roller, when you do foam rolling, find the bit that hurts, hold it on there for say 10 to 20 seconds, and then just carry on rolling. You'll feel a bit weird. It shouldn't be agony. I always say never more than a 7 out of 10 on the pain scale. So just find the bit that's sore and just roll it. And also, if you're sitting watching the telly at night, if you get hold of your foot, just massage the area where you get the pain, and then take hold of your toes. So my camera's really fuzzy, isn't it? I don't know, can you see?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll come back a bit. So, and then take your toes over, so I'm bending them that way, and then just stretch out all the fascia. So hold that for about 10 seconds. Back again, massage it through. Again, pull over, hold for about 10 seconds. That's a great one for getting some movement into the plantar fascia. And it's pretty much like having a massage. Along with always stretching out the calf. You can massage into the Achilles. All of that will help any pain that you have at all in this area. So calf stretches, hanging onto the Achilles and moving it around, as well as getting into the plantar fascia, will help anything from Achilles to plantar fascial pain to kind of heal pain because of the muscles pulling on those attachments. If your ankles are too sore to do any of that, the first port of call, all right, if you can't do any kind of strength stuff on there at all, it's just because you must keep moving, all right, you have to keep moving. It's just, I would say, write your name with your toes. Yeah, so you're getting the ankle moving as much as possible. So just, it's great trying to do that with your left foot and your right foot. You can figure out whether you're left-handed or not. But a general movement, and instead of just thinking, I've got to move my ankle, if you have a purpose, like, right, I'm going to write my name 3 times, that will get the joint moving in all planes of motion, which will help the synovial fluid to get through, and again, help any kind of healing in that area if it's too sore to stand on or run on at the time. Any questions on ankles?
No.
Or anything else on that before I move on to something else? Go on. No? Okay, fine. So what I thought I'd go on to now, because a couple of people asked me about this, which I wasn't expecting, is some back stuff. All right, now who I'll have to try and bring the questions out. Who was asking me about backs? Are they here? Vicky, yes, that's right, lower back. There was somebody else about back strength. Have you got the questions there, Joe? Are they here? Just because I was going to go through a few strength things.
It's just me.
Back-wise.
Mel, it was actually me.
Oh, was it you? Oh, there we go. I just knew it was from you. I thought it was from somebody else. Okay, so backs are funny things. Okay, so if you have back pain, which again can be quite common, especially if you started doing longer runs because of the position that you've been in, and we often speak about generally, we've got to keep our posture good because it'll have a knock-on effect on loads of different things, back being one of them. But lower back does get hammered because of the way that the lower back integrates with the pelvis and then the legs. So the lumbo-hip complex is all really, really integrated. So stuff can happen in your lower back that's been a problem in your hamstring, or you can have hamstring pain because something's going on in your lower back. So they're really, really all connected. And that's how you need to think about it as opposed to isolating it. So the first thing, if you're thinking about strengthening your back, because you have back pain, the first thing I would say to you is be very careful with that, because it could be, normally if you have back problems or you're having a lot of back pain, what actually happens to the muscles in your back is they become really static and hypertonic. They become really like turned on all the time. And really what you want to do to ease your back pain is make them more mobile and actually switch them off. So in a way, you don't really want to do any back exercises because it's going to make the muscles wake up more and then do more of a job. I mean, really what you're trying to do is relax them and calm them down. So it's a bit of a fine line in the fact that, well, I might have injured a muscle in my back and I do need to strengthen it. So what's actually functionally happening to your back, glutes, hamstrings, all of the muscles around there to make that area a problem. So I will show you some back strengthening things, but just bear that in mind, that is it that your back needs to be strengthened, or is it that it actually needs to relax and your glutes needs to be strengthened, or upper back needs some work to it, or what's actually happening there. But we will go through quite a lot of things, and you'll see what works for you. Yeah. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was a stretch I love that does pretty much everything. All right, it's a mobility as opposed to a stretch. I'm showing mobility things now to keep things moving. So this will isolate, this will get the back, it will get the hamstrings, it will get the glutes, it will get the hip flexors, it opens up the hip as well. So it's pretty much everything. And I do want you all to try this. So find a spot and get into a kind of lunge position. All right, so I'm on my knee, put one leg out in front, and then just take this front leg a little bit further forward. So if I come side on, you'll see that I am leaning a little bit into some opening this hip up. Okay, so lean into a little bit, keep your back upright. So we're stretching out all our hip flexor and also putting a little bit of stretch through the glutes on the other side. From that position, so I've got my left leg forward. I'm going to take my left elbow down towards the ground. Now you might find your elbow will not touch the ground. I have to say my mobility is terrible. I won't be able to reach the ground. Some of you will get there quite easily. So try and get that elbow down towards the ground. You might feel it in that left hip that you're going down on towards, because it is opening the ligaments in that hip as well. When you've gone as far as you can, take the arm that is with the leg that's behind and stretched out through the gap of your leg and your arm, and then twist up towards the ceiling, and then back through the hole of your knee and your arm and back up towards the ceiling. So you're twisting the full half of your body around as well. So just carry through those a few times. So this gets the whole back moving as opposed to just the lumbar back. When you've done that a few times, just extend that front leg as much as you can so you can feel that pull down the hamstring. And then just have a go on the other side, because you'll find that you've got more mobility on one side than the other. So step forward, stretch that hip flexor on the bent knee, then take the same elbow as the arm down towards the floor. Can you see you're better on one side than the other from this? Probably one side you maybe could get to the floor and the other you couldn't. And then from there, through the hole, twist that way and then twist up. See, I've got terrible rotation on this side. No. Let's do a couple of those. I say about 5 or 6. And when you've done as much as you want to do, then just stretch out that front leg, get into the hamstrings and get into the calf. So you're moving pretty much the whole time through this, but it's moving your back, it's stretching out the hamstrings, it's helping the glutes. It's pretty much every muscle's getting a little bit of motion through it. So that's quite a nice one. So you could do this pre-exercise, or if you generally feel quite stiff before you run, that one should iron everything out, particularly hip flexors, before you run.
That makes perfect sense, because where I've not been running until I get my MRI, and don't know when that will have been now. I was told not to run until I have my MRI. I got so fed up with not doing anything because everything hurt that I started doing. It's like an interval thing. It's called insanity, but it's just a bit of fun.
All right, yeah.
But a lot of their stretches, the hip flexor stretches, that's why it seems to be helping me then. So some of the things that are in between it, because it's like it's intense, but then it's relaxed, and then so it seems to be doing some good for that reason. I was trying to figure out, why is this okay? Yeah. Running not. So that makes
I mean, it depends what you've done, but I imagine they're telling you not to run because of the impact that it could be having through some vertebrae issues or anything there. I'm not aware of your issue, but
I think there's some deterioration in there. So I think that they're just nervous of what I might do damage-wise. So I'm listening to that, but I need to do something. But I like what you're doing, because I can add that into what I'm doing already.
So even if you have degenerative disc disorder or anything like that, so the discs are dehydrated or being worn down, although running, I'm not a doctor, so I can't, but I've dealt with a lot of people with this. Actually, running has helped. But I can see why they would advise you not to run, but 100% mobility through that area will help. And there's the scientific evidence to show that if you have like a painful area or an injured area, the mechanoreceptors in that area, if they're literally moved, send out pain releasing signals and repair signals into those muscles. So even if that, and it can be bone as well, so if there's movement going through an injury, it will repair itself. But if you don't move the injury, the actual physiological effects around it doesn't repair as well.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Moving is the key.
Yeah, and I think when you said that running helps, it was because it was enjoyable while I was running short distance, but it was so painful afterwards.
You got to see what's going on. You know, there's a nerve there that's been banged about against a bone. You know, it needs sorting out, but you won't harm it by moving through it.
Thank you. And I'll add that extra one in, because that'd be easy to add in.
Yeah. I'm actually going to show you some more anyway, but that one I like because it does everything. And given that, you know, your lower back is so linked to your glutes and your hamstrings anyway, you've got everything going on in there too. So what else was I going to show you? Right, cat-cow. I mean, Vicky, you probably know this one anyway, but this is a great one specifically for lower back. So if you get onto all fours, again, you might as well give this one a go. You probably know what I'm about to do. So you imagine you've got a tabletop back, and then from there, imagine you've got something pulling you up from your mid back. So you're arching your back. This is the cat bit as far as you can. So you should feel a bit of a pull in your lumbar area. So your lower back. And from that position, then you come down, stick your head up, stick your bum out, and then go the other way. So you're extending the back. And then from that, up again. And you're putting movement through all those vertebrae. Sometimes I find if you come back a little bit, you feel something in the camera. If you come back while you do that, again, you feel just a little bit more pull in the lumbar area, and then up into the cow bit. That one's a nice. So if you're suddenly getting a little bit of pain, Vicky, so like when you go out running and a kilometre in or something, your back sore, that one's a good one to do before you go out, just to get some movement through the back. If, for instance, you come back and you're just genuinely a lot of pain, this is a nice little one just to give you like a self massage. Let me show them in the right position. So if you lie on your back, take your knees in. Sometimes that's relieving anyway, because it resets the position of the lower back and it stretches out the glutes. Some people find this position just, you know, nice on the lower back. But when you're in this position comfortably, just rocking from side to side can really just put a little bit of massage through the vertebrae and through the deep muscles of the lower back. And again, you could, if you wanted, to put something, you know, like a little ball or something into where that specific pain is, and you could roll on top of that. So that's a nice one to do for a little bit of mobility through. If you generally suffer from back pain, again, Jay, this might be a good one for you as well. This works the opposite way to the cat-cow. So if you're back into this position, if you have an arch under your back, so that's what they call neutral spine. So if you put your hand through, there should be a little bit of a gap there. That's ideally where your back, the position you should start in. Not so you're sticking your chest right out, but just there's a little bit of a gap. You shouldn't be forcing your hand in. From there, you're going to push your back into the floor, so your hips tip up that way, so pushing the back down, and then one vertebrae at a time, just come up off the floor, up onto your neck, and then do the same on the way back down. So what's happening is the vertebrae are moving slowly each way, and again, just putting that movement through the vertebrae. So that might be quite relieving if you do generally suffer from back pain, or you know you've got a disc issue. That one's quite a nice one to do. That one's probably known anyway. I think most people are aware of that. So I will now go through, I mean, there's loads more I could show you. Is there anything more specific with mobility on backs you want me to show you before I kind of move on to more of a kind of functional, let's get the glutes, knees, hips, everything kind of more upbeat and working functionally? Is that all right?
Mel, sorry, can I ask one quick question on backs, if that's okay?
Yeah, I can hear it's Holly, but I can't see you.
Sorry.
It must be on another page. Go on anyway.
I don't know.
Oh, there you are. I got you.
I don't know if this is something you'll be able to help with or not, but sometimes when people give like strength and condition exercises and stuff, sometimes they might have like things like 6 inches and hold and stuff like that, and I won't do them very often because I feel like it just put a lot of stress on my lower back. But when I have done them before, someone recommended about putting your hands in a fist and putting them near your lower back.
Just say what exercise are you saying? I'm not sure I'm following the. Can you show me what it is that you're saying that they're asking you to do?
So like when you lie flat on the floor.
Yeah.
And then slightly raise your.
Oh, you mean like a leg raise?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you said it affects your back, because it will affect most people's back. That So yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's not, if you do suffer with back pain, I would never advise to do that exercise because it will set your back off. It does exactly what we were saying in the beginning that you don't want your back to do. It makes all the muscles around your back go static and support that area, when really if you have back pain, we're trying to relax that area. So 99, it will affect your back, whether you have back pain or not. It will make everything work, and if you have muscles in that area that are affected anyway, it will hurt. The only way that relieves that slightly is if you lift up your hips. So yeah, you can put your fists underneath, or you could put a towel underneath kind of your lower, just in the lower part of your back where the pelvis line is here. That will lift that up and support it. But yeah, it will. So I would say don't do that if you have lower back problems, because it will set things off, and you're better off trying to get through a mobility functional movement pattern in your back as opposed to trying to make it go static. They'll be giving you that to do as a core exercise, I imagine, to try and get your stomach muscles to work. But really,
Lewis did that on our PT session, and when he did that, he said, some of you, if you've got any issues with your back, or if you've got a weak back, either don't do it or do it like this. And he was the one that suggested the other day doing that. So I don't know if that's what you meant, Holly.
Yeah.
But when I can't do it without putting my hands or something stability there because of my back problem.
You'd be better if you wanted to do that kind of exercise, getting those kind of muscles to work. You'd be better off flipping over and doing a plank, because it will work exactly the same muscles, but it just doesn't put as much tension on the back. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
So don't do it, Holly. If it hurts, don't do it.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you.
Anything else backwise? All right. Okay. So going on to knees, which I've had a couple of questions on then. Now Sarah's arrived. Sarah spoke to me yesterday about a patella misalignment issue, which I gave her a couple of exercises to do, and she'll be my guinea pig now, because I said to her, this should be a quick fix. Now, hopefully, you sent me a text this morning, but she's now going to tell me she's been for a run. It's all agony again. How are you feeling, Sarah, after our quick chat?
It's all fine now. It was bizarre, but it's all back to normal. It's just a tiny bit tender when I put some weight through it going up and down the stairs, but apart from that,
Okay, brilliant. So you are going to be my best guinea pig for this then, all right? So yesterday, and how long do you have this problem for? You're best off telling everyone it, because I'll probably tell it wrong.
It originally happened about 8 years ago, and I didn't know what it was, and I waited for an NHS appointment, which took a year. And had I known it was as quick a fix as it is, I would have just paid for someone to tell me. But it came back in the middle of the night 2 nights ago. I couldn't bend it past a certain angle, and it was absolute agony. It's basically that my muscles were pulling my kneecap in one way too far, and so I just couldn't bend my knee. But Mel sorted me out yesterday, and it's all fine again.
So I've heard this, I do see a lot of people come through the clinic with this kind of issue, not to the same extent as you had, Sarah, where they literally can't move it. Normally it ends up being a bit of a niggle. I think they've got a knee problem, and that's probably where you were 8 years ago, you know, and it kind of flares up and flares up. But this is a very common issue for runners, and it can come out as runner's knee, or it can come out as a patellar misalignment, which is what Sarah was having there, because you have so many muscles around your kneecap. Let me just get myself in some kind of position here. So if you think this is your patella, so your patella is that floating bone here, and you've got all of your quads. So quads, you've got 4 muscles over the top here that come through over the top of this kneecap and come over to here. And you've got all these abductor muscles here that come in over, and some of those attach into the same kind of fascia as the kneecap. Then you've got your ITB, comes off a muscle in the hip, comes down here, and then kind of merges into the patella. So all of these are working to keep it in the right position. There is one particular muscle here, which is part of the quads, called the VMO, which one of its main roles is to keep the patella in the right position. So it locks and unlocks the patella into the keyhole position, so you can fully extend your knee. It gets really lazy, and because you're runners, you have an over dominance in these muscles. So your vastus lateralis, the quad on the outside, and your ITB. Everyone's aware that, you know, you get these problems a lot as runners because they're trying to stabilize your hips, to keep your hips in place. And if you have too much dominance here, you'll get a real pull from this area. Some of you come to the clinic that you're complaining of knee pain here, and we talk about ITB issues, but it's the same kind of idea. There's too much going on the lateral side of the leg, and it's starting to have an impact on the knee area. So if this muscle here is not doing its job, and you've got all these muscles pulling it over, your kneecap will not line up properly, and it can be agony, because when you try and bend it, it's in the wrong position. So you literally got bone on bone, you know, hurting you as you're trying to move. So if you just get this muscle, the VMO, to wake up, and it can be as simple as just waking it up. Over time you can strengthen it, but we're not talking about, again, going to the gym and doing any, you know, major weights with it. We're just trying to get it to activate more, and make sure that you deactivate this one. Those of you that have come to my rehab clinics, when I say deactivate, we're just trying to, maybe you can roller it, you can stretch it, you're just calming it down a little bit to stop it becoming over dominant. You then balance it again. So I think, Sarah, we were saying to you, you know, we've dealt with your ITB before anyway in the past, haven't we? So she was doing some ITB stretches, rollering the very specific area that was very sore on the outside of the knee. So rollering here, and then doing some general extension exercises on the chair just to get this muscle to work. And it seems to have done the job by the sounds of it, and just woken the right muscles up.
It's almost as if it didn't happen, but I was in such a lot of pain yesterday, and I couldn't move it. From that to being back to normal today, it is really quick fix.
So for all runners, because this can happen to all of you, it might not be to that extent, but if you ever had ITB issues, or I would say any kind of knee pain, particularly lateral knee pain, so on the outside or maybe underneath the patella, or it just feels a bit funny when you're trying to fully extend the knee, you may have an imbalance, which is quite common. And it will be just a case of making sure that the ITB, although the ITB itself can't be stretched, but the muscles that are attached into the ITB are being treated correctly and told to calm down, and that you are doing some strengthening or activation exercises to these quads to make them wake up. Does that, in theory, make sense? Because I'm now going to show you how to do that.
I'll just ask you that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a roller, is there any who doesn't have a roller? Just stick your hand in the air if you haven't got a roller. It doesn't matter if you haven't, but if you have, grab your roller. If you don't have a roller, you can roll on anything. I've known people to roll on rolling pins, foam bits of rolling stuff that you can have on beds, and you can do that, or you can go and buy yourself a roller. There's probably loads in Tesco's and stuff at the moment. So we're gonna do the outside. So we're gonna do this problem, right? Muscle imbalance. So we're gonna roller, starting off in the hip area up here, in that TFL muscle, which is the one that normally plays up with ITB issues. And we're gonna come down the quad to the top of the knee. Now with rolling, ideally, you start at the, for this issue, we're gonna start at the hip. If it's too much to have one leg on top of the other, put one leg over the top to take the weight a little bit, and get right into the hip. So if you think where your bikini bone is, you want to be just underneath that bit that sticks out in your bikini. Boys, you'll love that one. And just get into there. You can roll yourself up and down on that bit to get in there. It feels a bit funny on that. And then slowly, let me get myself in camera shot again. And then slowly roll her up the outside of your leg. It hurts me too much to do two on top of each other, but those hardcore, a lot of you can do that. Slowly up. If you find something that's sore, stay on there for about 20 seconds and roll it all the way to the top of your knee. That should be vaguely uncomfortable for most of you. If it isn't, you've got no problems there, but not many people will be able to say they can do that and it doesn't hurt. If you do again with rollering, you should take your time with it. If you've got a bumpy one like that, I think the flatter ones are better for this. This is great for getting into glutes and piriformis and stuff, but for getting into kind of a big fascial area, you really want a nice a smooth one. If I know, like Sarah was saying that she had a specific pain area, which was kind of like here, that's going to be hard to get on the roller. So what you could do is get a ball and get into that, or again, anything really, and just get into exactly where that pain area is and hold it on there and trigger point it a little bit yourself. Okay, you're all happy with that, yeah? Or you could get your thumb if you wanted to and get onto that. I'm now going to show you a general stretch for your ITB, because after you've rolled a stretch is great. Most of you will know this, but I'll just go through it again. So this is the side I'm stretching. So I'm going to step over the bad leg. Then I'm going to stick my hip out. So we're trying to stretch this bit here. Take your arm over the top and just like banana yourself over. Now you probably won't feel this down your leg. That's fine, because this is the area. Although your pain's going down your leg, with an ITB, it's this area here we're trying to stretch. So you do that for, I'd say, about 30 seconds. And then, if you have a band, has anyone got a band? If you've got a band, grab your band. Because instead of using a chair, I'll show you a way of doing this with a band. So Sarah, you could do this instead of the chair we were talking about. So step into it. Take it up to your knees. And then, on my right leg, so this is the one I'm dealing with, I'm going to put it around my right ankle, you can see, and it's still around my knee there. And from there, I'm just going to try and tip it forward a little bit and back. So you should feel that in your quads, top of your legs. Just do about 6 or 7 of those. If you can, just turn your leg out slightly, you're more likely to get the medial quad working as opposed to the bigger one, the rec fem in the middle. Turn it out slightly, and then just a couple of them. Now, the secret with this is that we're not doing all balls out strength work. We're just trying to activate a muscle and deactivate one to get the balance going. So this literally just tells the muscle to wake up and another one to just calm down a little bit, and it just puts things back into balance. And then general strength work over that, which I will go through and show you, will then put everything into the correct kind of functional working order. But if you've got a specific problem like that at the moment, ITB issues, any kind of knee pain, I would say try and get these muscles on the outside to calm down and try and make sure that this one's activated and working well. So if you can't run because your knee's quite sore every time you start up, do that before you run, and hopefully it will last you through the run and not flare up because you've balanced it all out before you've gone off. Any questions on that? I know if you've not done that before, it might be a bit like, what is she talking about? Happy? Or have I got a load of blank faces?
Not at all. I think the thing is, Mel, it sounds like it's not going to make a difference when you say, but it does make a difference.
It does. Yeah, yeah.
And
And
about
Sarah can preach to that. And Sean, if he's here, I don't know who else have you got. Sean's been doing a couple of strength stuff. And I know that he's doing really well with that, and it's solved a lot of his knee problems. So it's quite simple, but it does work. Are we all right? Okay, so in that case, what I will show you now is some general strength work for knees and hips to stop injuries, and if you do tend to get injuries, to stop them coming back and you know, helping them at the time. All right. Again, you probably would have been to one of my classes before, you will have gone through this, but it's always nice to kind of make sure you're doing them correctly. So the first thing, as we've got our bands out, all right, if you haven't got a band, bands are great. You get them from anywhere. If you come to me in the clinic, I'll give you a couple anyway. You come back. If you've got a band, put them on. Put them on the strongest band you've got, if you've got a couple. And we're just going to do a couple of crab walks. I know you're going to hate me for this, but this is a gold star exercise that makes particularly runners, and particularly off-road runners, it gets all your adductor muscles, the abductors around this area, it gets them activated and ready to work, to stabilize. We use these a lot when we run, and what we tend to happen is we end up getting really dominant in our hip flexors, and our glutes, medial glutes, don't work very well, and that's one of the reasons why we tend to get ITB issues quite a lot. So if we can work the medial glutes, it takes the pressure off the ITB. So this is a great one for stopping you getting ITB issues and generally keeping your hips strong. So step into your band. This is the one where it stops you feel like you're in pain every time you go to the loo after on the next day doing this. And what I want you to do is sit into it. If you haven't got one, just watch how to do this, and then when you do get a band, have a go at this. I'm gonna have to I'll come out and then you can see me, I think. That's better. Okay, so sit into it, keep your back straight, well, I think keep your chest out, and then step across, keeping the tension on the band. So you should feel it in your lateral glutes. I'd say do 10 one way, 10 back, and then repeat it. It should burn. No resting. Don't allow your glutes to have a bit of a rest in between. You probably see people doing this and wondering why, but it's a brilliant exercise. That's it. Let's have a look at how everyone's getting on. When you're stepping in, don't let the legs come in together too fast so the band goes floppy. You should always have tension on the band. Nice, Sally. That's it. Good, 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 good. And it doesn't really matter on the strength of the band, to be honest, because you can just do more. As long as you get that burning feeling, then you're doing the right thing. Just bend your knees a little bit more, Jay. So you're not, yeah, just slightly then, as long as your back's not playing up doing that position. And then from there, those of you with bands, if you haven't got bands, you can still do this exercise, you just do it without a band, because we're just going to do some squats. The purpose of having a band across your knee when you do squats, again, just makes the lateral glutes work a little bit. So air squats, right, you want to sit down as far as you can, keeping your foot or your heel on the floor. Okay, you don't want to come up into that position. So if you need to turn your feet out and widen your legs just so you can get a bit more flexibility, that's fine. But keep the band there if you've got it. And as you come down, push against the band. That's going to activate your glutes a little bit more. If you haven't got a band, just give these a go anyway. I'd say you want to do about 10 to 20 of these. Slowly down, fast up. Slowly down, fast up. I'd say do that 2 times, say do 10, have a rest, do 10, have a rest, 3 times a week. Even just doing that, you'll notice a difference with your hip area, along with the crab walks. And if you're trying to specifically strengthen the knee area, because this is obviously good for knee and hip area functional, then lunges are a really good one of getting all of the muscles around the knee working. So Martin, if we're looking at trying to keep things particularly stable around the knee, again, squats are great for that anyway, because you don't just want the knee strong, you want the hip strong too. But looking at hamstrings and quads and all of the muscles that incorporate the knee is what you're trying to strengthen. So rear lunges, I say rear because stepping forward could put a little bit too much tension on some of those ligaments. So step back lunges will be quite a good one to do. So if I show you here, so what you're going to do is you step back, then the knee should try and touch the floor, but you go down as far as you can. Step back, legs together, other leg goes back, down as far as you can and back up. Ideally, you're touching the floor, kissing the floor with that knee, but if it's too much, then it's fine just to do that. Okay, you'll have a go at that. Again, don't clunk down. If you haven't got the control to just gently touch the floor, then it's too hard for you to do at the moment. So again, 20 of those, have a rest, 20 again, 3 times a week is ideal really for building up the strength. Now Martin disappeared, I'm hoping because he tried it out. Did you try it out?
Yes. Yeah, trying to find me on mute.
Can you do that pain-free?
I could do that okay. I must admit, something I was trying was doing stepping forward, holding dumbbells. And I was finding I mean, if you can get to that, it just puts a bit more tension on. I'm not saying not to do it if it feels okay, then if it feels fine, then go for it. But if you step back, it's just putting less pressure on. But you can still hold the dumbbells if you want. But I would go more for pace than weight for now. So yeah, take 3 seconds down, 1 second up, 3 seconds down, and then increase your weight from that. And make sure there's no flick of the knee. When you're doing this for anybody, whenever you're lunging, whether it's a forward lunge or a reverse lunge, watch that front knee. If you see it flick, so let me show you. Say I was coming into a lunge and my knee did that. You see what I mean by flick? It means that your knee isn't stable because your glutes aren't keeping the legs stable. So your glutes are weak. So that's where like the band walks and the banded squats and everything are going to help keep the hip strong. And also those muscles that come from the hip into the knee. So a flicking of the knee shows instability in the hips. And that's how the hips and the knees are really integrated. So to have strong knees, you've got to have strong hips and you've got to have strong back. So the whole chain kind of knocks into each other. Yeah. So don't just focus on the knee. You do need to do like the squats and crab walks and stuff like that will really help. Okay, great stuff.
Any questions? Because you know what I'm like, I could just carry on chatting all night, and I'm looking at the time anyway. We're about to run out of time. So anything that I haven't covered that you definitely want me to have a chat about or to show you? Let's see, what else we got in here? I can't believe everybody's saying no. I'll be inundated with questions after.
Just going back to the step back.
Oh, no, yeah, we're all on it now. Sorry, Martin, go on.
Just going back to the step back lunge. So is it slowly, sort of same pace, slowly down, slowly up?
Slowly down, fast up. So explode out of the exercise. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clarify that bit. Thank you.
That's the same with most exercises, to be honest. When you're fighting gravity, take your time and then force yourself up from it. So that it just makes the muscles work a little bit better. It's harder. It's harder than just going to up, to down, to up, to down.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Now, can we just check with Toby that he had everything that he needed from that? Because I think he's been struggling the most, he said, and Mum said he hasn't been able to run. Toby, do you feel you've got everything that you need?
Yeah.
So yeah, Toby, the main thing for you is to make sure you're getting the mobility in there.
I just wanted to know that.
Is it me he's cutting out with, or everybody? I can't hear you.
It's Toby.
Just try again, Toby. What did you say?
Yeah. I was just saying how I just wanted to know what it was, because I thought it was like Achilles, like tendonitis, but it's not really like at the back of my heel. It's like
just show me where your pain is, because from what I heard, I'd got the impression ankle, but
it's like along here.
I'm moving my camera. It's
like along here.
Oh, that's going to be okay, that's
I don't know what it is.
Achilles area. That's Achilles area, but could also there's the soleus muscle attaches into there as well. So yeah, you want to get on the roller. Do all the ankle stuff anyway. You can't go wrong with that. But get on the roller and do calf rolling. Yeah, have you got a roller?
Yeah, I got.
Okay, so roller your calf. Yeah, and do the ball plantar fasciitis stuff on your fascia.
Yeah.
Although that's not where you're getting the pain is. It's all interlinked. And do some general soleus calf stretches. So instead of just straightforward leg stretch, that mainly does your gastroc. So this is the leg I'm stretching, the calf I'm stretching. Push your knee over your toe and push into it with a bent knee, and that just gets a different calf muscle at the back there that might just need a bit more stretching. But so yeah, you need to focus on calf, making sure that, I mean, it doesn't sound like a tendonitis. If it was a tendinopathy, then I'd say don't stretch, but you should be fine stretching. Get onto the Achilles and just massage it as well, all the way down to the insertion thing. So get a hold of your calf there, literally just wiggle it around, get your thumb into that area that hurts and just massage up and down it. You might find some like little bumps in there. Just try and just go through those bumps. Do the roller. You need to do like 2 minutes ago on the roller. It will hurt. Do you know how to roller your calf?
Yeah, I always roll my calf out always.
Okay, are you making sure you putting one leg over the other? Yes.
No, I sometimes do that, but
you want to be in this position. You want to be there as opposed to 1, 2 together. Yeah, so make sure you're there. Yeah. And again, when you find that sore spot, hold it for about 20 seconds. And do that every time you run. But at the moment you're not running, and this is something for everybody really, whether you're injured or you have pain, always try, unless it's, like you've got a black ankle and there's no way you can run, always try and run. Just like think, well, I'm going to go out for 3 minutes and I'm going to walk for 30 seconds and then have a quick jog. Just see how it feels and don't think about the pain, because half the problem is your pain sensors know that there's pain in that area and they make you feel the pain even when the pain's not there anymore. So you need to just get through that, because pain isn't always a bad thing. All right, so if you can trust yourself to do the movement, and then it's okay, you won't feel pain as much next time you try it. So even if you just go out for 3 minutes, just give it a go and then just build up from that. Unless you are limping. If you have a gait change, so you're limping, then no, don't do it, because you'll end up with another injury. You'll end up with hip pain on the other side or something like that. But try and, if you can run normally, then run normally. Don't run slower, don't do anything different. Just try, even just for 3 minutes, just get out there and give it a go. All right, so I went down the wrong route with you then, because I thought it was ankle, but yeah, it was definitely more Achilles from where you're pointing. Do calf, but you can't go wrong with doing the towel exercises, all right, because that helps with that's why I'd give people with Achilles problems anyway. So do your towel walks, do the rolling on the plantar fascia, do the stretches on the calf, do the rollering, and do all the general strength stuff. All of that will help. Even the crab walks is going to help. Yeah, all of that, balancing everything out.
And just remember, this is being recorded, so you can watch this back, note down what it is you need to do, and then you
good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really sorry to say we're coming up.
I know, I do it every time. I'm sorry, you have to say, or I'll just
I just want to say a huge thank you, not only for the first one, but the second one you've come back and done again. You've answered everyone's questions. I don't know about everyone else. I'm massively grateful. Can we give Mel a round of applause?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. And applause on the
Thank you so much, Mel.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Mel.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.